Hi, everybody. Welcome to another Fielder webinar. Today I have Raymond Altmann from WAC Lighting, and he's going to give us a tutorial on how to design landscape lighting and how guys from the AV industry and the integration business can have a new category of products that are that's easy to do, straightforward to do, and your customers will absolutely love it. Hey, Raymond, lead us on here.
Well, thank you, Mark, and thank you everyone who's able to join us and who will be viewing the recording as well. I am Ray. I handle the West for AiSPiRE and WAC Lighting. The two companies, WAC Lighting has been around for over 27 years. And we have been a leader in the lighting industry. We own our own factory, so we make everything from the ground up. And that's a huge advantage compared to most manufacturers, because they maybe bring in products from overseas, but they aren't making them themselves. And we literally make it ourselves from raw material in our own factory. Then there's AiSPiRE. AiSPiRE is a company that we released at CEDIA this past year. And this company is specifically for the integration market. It is only going to be accessible to integrators. No, it won't be sold in stores or online. That means you're price protected, you got better margins. So you got a lot of advantages with AiSPiRE, and the products in AiSPiRE are more technologically driven to work with control systems and make your lives a lot easier. We started out with new things with low voltage systems, of course, landscape, and many other useful experiences for within the home. And we're going to just be expanding more and more as we grow into an even bigger company. So with that being said, what I'm going to do is actually get into this presentation about landscape lighting. So you can kind of get a better idea as to what you can do with landscape lighting and how to do it. It's actually pretty easy to do once you get the fundamentals. And a lot of it's really playing with the light in the space so that you can make it unique. And let me just share my screen here. There we go. So in landscape lighting techniques, I was saying, it's actually pretty simple to do once you understand the fundamentals. We offer plenty of services to help you actually lay out and design. Myself, I can always help you, or Mark can help you get in the right direction if you need some help with landscape lighting. We have a submittal scheme to actually do full layouts for you. So this is my backyard in my apartment. If landscape lighting was just about filling the space with light, this would be correct. The thing you should notice is that you don't notice anything. See, our lights are drawn to the shadows when we're talking about darkness. Light actually makes us lose depth perception. The only things you intentionally notice right away from this photo is the shadows from the two bushes. The rest of the yard, you don't see any depth. Everything seems very flat. This is what happens when you just flood a space. Now, security lighting is flooding a space, and there is a place for security lighting and floodlights. If you at the end of the night, you just had a big party and you want to clean up, you put on the floodlights and now you can see. Putting floodlights around the home that are tied into your security system when it goes off and can snap on so that it scares off anyone around. That's an awesome thing to have, as well as a panic switch in the master bedroom. So you hear some noise and you just, by a flip of a switch, flood the whole house with light. But security lighting doesn't have to just be floodlights. Regular landscape lighting is a way to make your home inviting, but also keep away the people you don't want. If you talk to any law enforcement agency across the United States, they'll tell you the #1 home security system is outdoor lighting, because your home security system is awesome and it's gonna give you the protection you need. But as soon as that alarm's going off, they're inside the house. And having outdoor lighting is gonna deter them from wanting to be close to the house. So let's actually talk about what builds up landscape lighting to make these unique environments. You got to consider all aspects. The exterior design is kind of a couple different layers, kind of like the inside of the house, that allow you to combine them to create a very unique, very beautiful landscape design that is warm and inviting. And there's 4 important factors to take into place. You've got deck lighting. Deck lighting, it's going to be subtle light that distributes things around. It's going to show you where things are in front of you. This is a safety feature. So it'll tell you whether there's a railing, where there's a pole or a pillar. It's going to keep you from running into things that you don't want to, basically. Then you have step and brick laying. This is for changes in elevation. So if you have a step up, if there's a gradient, if there's a low-lying retaining wall, these are ways to mark that, and it's a visual cue to your eyes. You're not really going to pay attention to it. It's something that your eye will pick up and go, wait a second, I'm going to trip if I go that way. Let me take a step. Then you have accent lighting, this is going to be the greatest part of landscape lighting design, is accent lighting. This is going to put emphasis on different structures and different plants, trees, things around the yard that are going to create focal points. And then finally, you have path lights. Path lights lead you from one place to another. A lot of path lights you use in flower beds to just emphasize nice little areas with flowers and shrubs. The biggest misconception about path lights is you have to have them at the standard 6 feet every other side. That is the standard, is 6 feet going back and forth down your pathway. Your eye actually only picks up the first light. After the first light, your brain takes over and you just start following the light. You don't know that you're doing it, but you do. That's why in a lot of parks you'll see around cities, they'll have one light and then the next light may not be for another 10, 15 feet away. It's because you actually don't need them that close. Now, when you have a small pathway like what you see in the photo, you do want them close together because it's just more appealing. But if you have, say, a nice little nature walk through a backyard, you don't have to have them that close. In fact, it takes away from the nature. So you can space them out much farther apart, and your brain will literally just take over and lead you right through where you're going. Now let's look at the techniques to build this up. Now there's 4 techniques, that's it. There's not a lot of techniques to landscape lighting. A lot of it's just playing around with the light and finding what looks best for your application. You know, put in 3 spotlights on a great oak. It's kind of a standard. You gotta get everything around the tree, but you're not just gonna stick them at 3 feet away from the tree, pointing up. No, you're gonna get them on site, and you're gonna find out what's the right point away from the tree, pointing in the right direction up, balancing out the beam angle so that it looks the best that it can. Like this photo you see here, we have 3 hardscapes in the front, and those are going to have a standard distance because it's a retaining wall hardscape. But then you see the big tower in the back. It's got a light going right up the side of it. That wasn't just, okay, I put 18 inches away from the house and pointed it up. No, you had to get it there, especially at night. That's another thing. You gotta come back at nighttime after you're laid down to adjust things. And they found what was the right angle to make it look its best. The first technique is grazing. So grazing is taking your light source and pointing as close to a structure as possible and pointing it straight up. If you have something that like a stone wall, or in this case, stone pillars that have a lot of texture to it, if you have the light far away from the wall and you're pointing at it, you're gonna lose all the depth, all that texture. It's just gonna flood it out and it's gonna look very flat because again, our eyes lose depth perception when there is light. We want to actually design with shadows. That's the trick for landscape lighting, design them with shadows. So by grazing straight up, you got to catch each one of those little nooks and crannies and crevices, the spaces where the gradient is, and you're going to get all these shadows on top of the highlights, which create depth, and then you get texture. The next technique is shadowing. Shadowing is taking your light source and put it in front of an object, a structure, or a plant, and shooting it at the object so that it casts a shadow on the wall behind it. Especially anything that's really dense foliage. This is a great technique to use because you're gonna get all the nice little outline of it on the surface behind it. As well, you're gonna be able to highlight the plant very well. The more loose the structure, the less likely you're gonna get such a clean outline as something this dense. If you have a very unique piece of modern art that has a unique structure to it, you can actually cast that shadow onto the surface behind it and add more depth, more interest, and more excitement to the space. Next is silhouetting, which is basically the opposite. So now you're putting the light source behind the tree, the plant, the structure, and illuminating the surface behind it, which creates these very hard silhouette outlines. On something like, in this case, an oak, you have a lot of space between the leaves and you have big branches and the trunk. When you illuminate from behind it like that, you actually get this really clean silhouette of the tree or the plant, so that it creates more drama, more focus. It really brings your eye to, there's something going on there. It's not such a big impact like when you shadow and you're casting the light right on it. It's more of creating interest and drama to the space with those shadows. And then finally, it's uplighting. Uplighting is kind of the balance of the two. So it's bringing your light source more underneath your structure and shooting the light up through it. So you're getting both the shadows, the silhouetting, you're getting everything in one bundle. On something like a dogwood, where it has a lot of smaller branches and the leaves are spaced out a little bit, but still dense, you end up getting a beautiful dramatic effect. And this creates a focal point. If you want your eye to be drawn specifically to something, uplighting is going to have the best impact for that. So like on a maple, what I said in the beginning, you know, three uplights around a maple or an oak tree, you light up the canopy. You're not actually lighting up the trunk or anything like that. You're lighting up the canopy so that it creates this, oh my God, there's something there. It really draws your eye over there and creates a solid focal point within the space. And it's great, especially for seedlings, or sorry, not seedlings, specimen trees, something unique in the yard that you really want the eye to be drawn to. Once you take these techniques, it's really easy to kind of start playing with it, just moving lights around inside, outside, in front, the back, just moving the light around to really play with it and see what looks best for that object or how you want to light it up. And it's not about just lighting the entire yard up. It's about lighting up things of interest. And to do that, there are specific products, and each product has its own way of being used. So first we have wall washing. Wall washes are gonna flood a space like a floodlight, like a mini floodlight, and they're gonna illuminate an entire side of a house. It's not gonna be like a spotlight where you get an emphasis on things. It's for like silhouetting, this is a great thing because you can illuminate the wall behind a big structure so that you can wash it out and create that silhouette that you want. We offer quite a few different wall washes. We have our standard wall wash. It's intensity adjustment right on it with a Phillips head screw from 2 to 16 watts. Then we offer a mini version, which is cool for low-lying shrubs, the top half of the house. We make a gutter mount for this, and a lot of people forget about the top half of the house, which I'll actually go into very shortly. And this past year, we came out, we're the first to do this, a beam adjustable wall wash. So it actually is adjustable from a 4x3 to a 6x5 aspect ratio. You could increase that spread that you couldn't do with a standard wall wash. So if you were to use a wall wash on a wall and it wasn't wide enough, the only way to make it wider is to back it up. A lot of times there's pathways and you can't do that. So the only thing you could do is add more wall washes so that you have a consistent light across that wall. With this, you literally just turn the dial in the back and increase that beam angle. As well, you can now take that light and turn it vertical. So for things like a chimney, in the past, if you wanted to light up a chimney, you would need 3, maybe 4 accent lights to get even light in across it. With this, just turn it vertical, dial it in, and wash up your chimney so you can illuminate that. Poles, pillars, flag poles between windows. You have a lot of flexibility, and it also has the intensity adjustment. And you'll find with most WAC products, there's a lot of flexibility, so you don't have to try to pick and choose ahead of time. You get it on site, and you can adjust it to what you need it to do. Next section is spotlights. Now, spotlights are going to be what you use for most of the yard. This is where you're going to do all your accent lighting. You're going to emphasize things. You're going to create drama and depth. Our standard accent is probably our highest selling landscape product that we have. It is equivalent to more than 15 of our competitors' accent lights. It has not only intensity adjustment, it also has beam adjustment. So by rotating that front cowl, just like a mag light, you're able to go from 10 to 60 degrees continuously. So it's not a preset things. There are markings on there, but you can actually just continuously go. This allows it to even grow with the tree. So if you have a sapling they just started out with, you put one of these in, light it up as it needs to be. A couple years down the road, the thing is, 10 feet tall. Obviously, you need a different spread. You can just turn that front cowl and now spread it out. So it's able to grow with the plants. It's easy enough to use one fixture across the entire yard to light up every single one of your applications. It is hands down the most popular fixture we have, and we have a dual pattern on it. No one's doing it the way we are. There are some that may have some form of beam adjustment or may have some form of intensity adjustment. They're not doing both, and they're not doing it like us. We're very well known for this fixture. We also make a miniature version of this. The mini, again, it's got that beam adjustment, intensity adjustment. But you can also, we have a gutter mount for this to do the top half of the house. And this is what I was saying I'd come back to a little bit later on. So this house here was done, and this is something that is a common occurrence. People don't light up the top half of the house. So you come home and you have half a house. You have beautiful architectural features within the home, but you're only laying up the bottom half of the house. In this case, they literally just did sconces, so it's very stark. It doesn't have much appeal to it. The homeowner wanted it upgraded, so it was redone with proper landscape lighting techniques, and it looks like this. Now we see the top half of the house. Now we have contrast, we have drama. You can see the shadows of the siding on there. It's given so much more life to the home. And this is the same home. The top half looks gray and blue, but the bottom half looks warm and inviting, more amber tones, more tans. This is a huge thing that people forget about, is the top half of the house. And then we have our grand accent. Our grand accent it's a beast of power. I mean, it can go way up a red oak very easily. But then if you put it at the top of a really tall tree with the 5,000 Kelvin option and the beam angle wide open, and you shoot it down, you get this awesome effect called moonlighting. Moonlighting basically is creating as if the moon was coming through the tree. So if you have a backyard at one of your jobs that has a big open field space and some big trees, you put some grand accents up top, shooting them down, and now you'll get all those shadows from the branches on the ground. You'll get that glow, that warm glow that you normally get from moonlighting. And it's an interesting way to use artificial light source to create a very natural effect. And our 3-inch in-ground is also included in our spotlights. A lot of people don't think of in-grounds as being a spotlight, but we have 3 features on this product that allows it to be a spotlight without being above the grade. A lot of people don't like to have some type of bullet sticking out of the ground. Landscapers knock them over. So some people want to be in the ground so that they're out of the way, out of sight, out of mind. With ours, you're able to adjust the beam angle between the 4 presets from 15 to 60 degrees. You can adjust the intensity so that you can change your brightness from the start from 2 watts to 12 watts. And you can tilt it 20 degrees both ways. So you can actually you can put this in the ground a little away from your tree and actually angle it at the tree to illuminate your canopy, illuminate the trunk. You can light up your walls on your house in nice clean lines without having anything above the ground. So our in-ground is actually another accent light, just not one that you see above the grade. Then we have our different path and area lights. So path lights, these are going to be things that lead you from A to B, but they're also used a lot of times in flower beds and low-lying shrubs. We have quite a collection of different products that we offer. Our most popular is the Tiki. It's kind of a standard looking one with that little dome on top. And that's probably why it's most popular, because most people know it. But we have a lot of different unique modern products as well. Our mini accent comes in a single and double pathway light. So you can actually start illuminating from the top down onto different things. Or if you need to get above some foliage to be able to accent the home or other unique features, you can actually use those to accent at a higher level. Then there's bollards. Now, bollards is something that too many people underestimate. They don't think about what you can do with a bollard. A bollard is something that tells you from start to finish. It allows you to illuminate things at a higher level, and it adds a lot of safety and security to a space. So if you have a pathway that goes from your deck to maybe some secret garden within the land, you start off with a bollard, you run your pathway lights to the location, and then you put another bollard. That's a visual cue that says, I start here, I end here. You see them a lot of times at the front entranceway on either side of the staircases. You see them coming off staircases in the back of the home. Things like the tower, you put those in your flower beds where you have a lot of high shrubs so that you can illuminate the top half of that and still have something very unique and architectural looking. The scoop is an artistic feature by itself. So you can put that right in the middle of the flower bed and just light up the flower bed, but also add some interest to that flower bed. So there's a lot of unique uses for bollards that people always underestimate and not realize they could do with them. Then we have step, deck, patio, brick lights. These are going to be a safety feature. This tells you where there's changes in grade. You can put them in walls, into masonry. You can put them on your steps, of course. You can use them uniquely, like underneath a built-in bench on your deck to actually create a glow underneath the bench. There's very unique things you can do with them. Use them inside, outside. Most are low voltage. Actually, everything on this page you see here is low voltage. A lot of them are surface mounted. Our standard step lights actually go into a standard 2x4 switch box. So you can get everything roughed in ahead of time before the lights even get on site. Just put a bunch of switch boxes in, and then you just wire and pop them in. The top right there, that's something new of ours. It's a surface mounted step light. So you just drill a hole for your low volt wires, and with 2 screws, you screw it in, put the faceplate on, and you're done. So we like to make things very easy to use, simple, straightforward. We also have different types of indicator lights that you can use in these features as well. You can put them in walls, in ceilings outside, into wood, decks. You can put them in many places. The 1-inch, I'm actually using the 1-inch right now on a job where they have a bunch of tall planters, and they have little evergreens inside the planters, and they want them to be uplit from inside the planter. So we're using the 1-inch indicator. We're putting it through every single one of them, and they're gonna have their own little uplights inside the planter. Our 2-inch, we have options for different types of caps for them. So we have a 2-way, a 4-way, we have a single directional, and we have a hood as well that will actually shoot the light sideways. So you can use these for pathway lighting as well. Hardscapes is one of my favorite things for landscape lighting. Normally they use underneath the capstone to graze down a wall and create a lot of drama and texture, especially on something like you see here, these beautiful stone walls. It adds a lot to it, but we've added some new last year. We have dual color temperature on board. So just by turning the little screw, it goes from 2700 or 3000 Kelvin. We also have intensity adjustment, of course, like everything else in our landscape products. And we've added a quick release. Quick release is important because if something was to go wrong with the hardscape, we've had things like a lawnmower blade breaks off and smashes into it. Someone's playing baseball in the backyard and smashes with a bat. We've had a lot of things that we've heard of happen. And what would happen is you'd have to pop off the capstone, take out the old wiring, take out the hardscape, put new wiring, put in new hardscape, put the capstone back, reinstall the capstone. And that's how you used to have to replace a hardscape. And for most manufacturers, it's still that way. We're the first to actually release a quick release, 2 screws, pop one off, pop a new one in, 2 screws back on. Very simple, straightforward. And we've even added more finishes than the one you see here and now. Then we have submersible lights. Submersibles are great because there are 2 things that your eye is drawn to the most. One is light in a dark space, and the second is movement. Those are the 2 things that your eye is drawn to the most. So when you put light inside water, you get moving light. Your eye can be drawn to something more than moving light. We have kind of a standard submersible that you see a lot of times in ponds. It's going to give a glow to the space. It's not going to give you a lot of accent lighting, but it's going to allow you to illuminate water. And then we have our underwater spot. This actually has enough power to go out of the water and light up things like statues inside a fountain. You have a nice fountain in front of the yard, put some of the underwater spots in, you'll light up the statue with moving light, and you'll light up the fountain as well. And then in AiSPiRE, we also have some landscape items. We have full visual spectrum color tuning landscape fixtures. This is using a 5-color chipset, very similar to what Ketra has in their recess. We use it in our recess with AiSPiRE and our landscape products. So it's using, it's not RGBW. It's actually like mint, cyan, red, and a couple other ones, but that allows you to get colors you cannot get with RGB. So with RGB, you're very limited to the spectrum it's able to hit. With a product like this, not only are you able to get deep cobalts, vibrant magentas, you're able to get pastel colors, a nice rose pastel or a nice turquoise, things you can't get with an RGB, you can get with this, as well as white light from 1650 to 8000 Kelvin. This allows you to also say you have a nice red maple. You can light it up with white light and then add a little red to that white light. And now it's going to become more vibrant at night and look even better. And some people have very specific colors they want because their favorite sports team has a certain color. You can match that color. If you work on a commercial job, the company probably has a very specific color. I know our company has a very specific color we use, given it's black and gray, so it's a little bit harder to hit. But most companies have a specific color and you can match it perfectly. You can do T-Mobile magenta, which is actually a very hard color to hit with LEDs, and any other color under the sun. So this allows you to have full play on color as well as white light. And I plan to put it in my home because I don't want to have to ever change lights for the different holidays. I want to have landscape lighting that when Christmas comes around, the whole house goes red and green. For 4th of July, red, white, and blue. For Easter and spring holidays, a bunch of pastels. I don't want to have to put the extra work in. So with this, I'm able to just through my control system, change everything to the scene that I have preset up. It's all run through DMX. So it's very easy to control. There is an app, and the app is really meant to just commission the fixtures to the channels that you're going to use on your DMX. But it can be used through Bluetooth to change the settings on the fixtures. It's not a very reliable app, I would say. It's not the best one in the world. You're not going to be able to sit there from inside your home and change things. You have to be pretty close to the fixtures to actually connect to them. And you're maxed out by 8 fixtures on any device with because of the Bluetooth limitations. So going DMX is really the way you want to go. And the app is just there to set your channels. So from everything we've learned today, the one thing we know is this is not how you do landscape lighting. This is security lighting, and there's a place and you need it, but this is not how you do landscape lighting. You take all the techniques that we've gone through and you create a full environment that's warm, that's inviting, that people want to spend time in, that people are excited to spend time in. And another thing I want to add in is, have you ever been in your home and looked down into your landscape without any light in there? You get a black mirror effect. All you see is yourself looking back. You want to enjoy all the time and money you've spent into the area around your home as much as inside the home. Throwing landscape lighting, you can enjoy it from inside as well as out. I have my information up here as well. So, anything comes up in the future, you have some questions, you want to chat, you got my phone number and my email. I can definitely give you a hand with that. I know there's not a ton of people in the meeting right now, but if anyone has any questions, I'd be totally happy to answer anything anyone has.
Thanks, Raymond. Hey, everybody has my email as well. We know how to get a hold of me. We've recorded this, so if you'd like a recording of Raymond's talk, feel free to get a hold of me and I can get it over to you guys. Raymond, I had a quick question. How do we mount the one fixtures up in the tree? Probably caught you off guard with that, but.
No, we have 2 options. We have a standard tree mount that uses screws, and then we have a tree-friendly mount that uses straps. So you gotta run your wire literally up the tree, and then it goes into our junction box specifically designed for trees, and then you literally just wing nut the fixture onto the box.
Excellent. And then if dealers have questions about how to integrate with DMX, you and I can get with those dealers?
Absolutely. Most of the control systems, it's not a problem. We also are coming out with something that's going to make life a lot easier for everyone when it comes to DMX and the control systems. So that sooner than later, we'll have an option to make life a lot easier with that as well.
Excellent. Well, Raymond, thanks again for doing this with us. It's always fascinating. And of course, it always makes you want to know, what should I do with my own house? That's what I've been sitting here thinking. So give me a call, you guys. Let me know. Thanks, Raymond.
Thank you so much, Mark, and thank you, everyone. I hope everyone has a great day, and you've got me and Mark. Use us, abuse us. We're ready to help.
All right. Thanks. Raymond, I think you're going to have